Hello guys, Luetin here, and today we're going to be looking at Azadi Conquest. Now, I don't post too much Conquest gameplay, mainly because it's kind of console and there's not a huge amount of games that I consider to be really worthwhile and interesting enough to post up. This would be no exception. It's a kind of moderate game. I think there's a bit of action towards the end of this round, but yeah, you know, for the most part, I just find that it's just not interesting enough. You know, I sometimes wish, I know some people say, oh, it's fine on console, blah, blah, blah. I actually really don't think that it is, and I have no problem admitting that. You know, I really, if something is not quite right, then I think that's the case. But it tends to be that it's not so much that when you have actual combat, it's not so good, because the combat when you're around a base is just as good as it would be on any other. You know, if you're playing Rush or whatever, it'd just be as good. It's more the fact that you can do what we're doing right now. You can just drive around and pick up bases with no opposition whatsoever, because there just simply is not enough people to spread around the map. And if you do spread people around the map, you end up having engagements with like just 2 or 3 other people. Now, I should have really probably backed up a little bit here, let the gunners get onto this guy, but unfortunately Swedish just rams us into the ground here. And we get a nice... I love this bit coming up, because as I come up here, look at the fire all around me, and it's... awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I love those real explosive situations. So Azadi, really, it's a really urban, you know, street to street, and the reason I'm posting this Conquest, it's not a breakdown. I will do breakdowns, but you know, one thing was that the reason I haven't done Conquest breakdowns so much is I really don't feel like they're as beneficial coming from me as a console player, you know. People said, because I did my round breakdowns for Rush, where I went through each map and I showed the bases and I talked about routes and stuff. Now, okay, those routes and so on might be a little bit different when you're playing Rush with a larger sort of ticket count, but essentially the map features and so on don't really change. Now, I will consider, I think after in the new year, etc., I'll do some Conquesty stuff. Okay, I'll do some Conquest stuff, because I don't do it very much, and I do love Conquest, I really do. And in fact, Conquest, I have found that players on Conquest have a terrible time. Tactically, people are very, very bad at Conquest. The reason being is it involves a lot more sort of anticipation and preparing where to move than it does. Now, I have done some videos about Conquest maps in the past and about tactical movement and so on and so on. Now, I will find that video because it was a long time ago. I'll have to apologise in advance for the mic quality. It's because it would have been one of my early videos where I was probably using a headset or something, so I'm not using like a condenser mic, and if I am, it'll be the Snowball, so it's not as good as this mic right now. But that video, it's quite good. I don't know, I was using like Photoshop and drawing out and commenting on the same time at tactics and stuff. I think I'll actually do some more of that, because it's really good. New Year, I'm going to add that to my list of things to do, is look at this guy here, he's riding my tank. Cheeky son of a... Anyway. Right, so moving on anyway. There's a whole section now where we were just kind of moving base to base, but we didn't really encounter anything, so I cut that boring section out. That's the point as well, is that, you know, console Conquest, you'll often have like 10 minutes where nothing happens. You're just moving around, not much really happening. Just finish off this tank here. There we go. I don't think I've got a repair tool, so don't criticise me on that one anyway. Yeah, we're moving around. C's pretty hot. C tends to be a bit of a focal point on Azadi anyway. C and the main palace. The other bases, they do get capped up, but they're not so much, to be honest. I mean, we can see A and B are kind of in contention, but you tend to get a lot more action around sort of C and the palace itself. Oh, and I didn't reload. Always be... Whoa, what the hell? Did you see that guy? Did you see that guy right in front of me there? He just flew like 1,000 feet into the air. Got the ACR, always with the ACR. Tell you what though, apparently the QBZ is back. It's back in black. In the Works did a video about the QBZ, and actually, you know, the QBZ is always like a really firm favourite of mine. I always really like the QBZ, but I changed it up after a while. I just went with a different setup, and I started using the ACR more, because I just found that it suited my playstyle more. On most Battlefield maps, it meant I could get a little bit extra range, but I still had the power of the kind of full auto-ness and so on and so on. But the QBZ was one that I found performed generally really well. It just doesn't have such long-range capability as the ACR. And you might think to yourself, well, okay, what kind of situation would that be in, and how far would you be able to take out a target with it? Well, you know, I was quite easily, we were playing at Oman, and I was quite easily managing to take down targets. You know, the B to A on Conquest, I was managing to snipe targets at that range there, really showing that friendly Barsuk who's boss right there. It's the fog of war, you know, the fog of war comes down, red mist. Whoa. Did you see that right there? Did you see that horrific clip, alright, where it cut from one scene to the other? That wasn't me cutting, that was the recording, the raw recording. This is why I have got back into using the Elgato, alright? Now the Elgato, you may remember that I had said that I was going to stick with the PVR, the Hapag PVR, and that I didn't rate the Elgato. I have taken a second look at it and changed my opinion, and I will do a video about that pretty soon. But the Elgato basically, it's more stable for a start off, but it also has some other benefits like the kind of live com recording feature that they've added in on the software. Technically, between the two, there was nothing really wrong with the technicality between the two. It was more to do with the software, and I've changed my opinion based on the software. The Elgato, now they've updated it, allows you to record live com. Now, that has... I got caught out there. Nice power from the G3 though, always love the G3. But yeah, the Elgato, they've changed it up so that you can live com your games, which is a really great feature. I'm still trying to get used to tweaking the audio with that though, it's a little bit finicky. However, it does mean that I should be able to record more live com Battlefield games, because it should be, and also using the whole team without using Skype, which will be great. However, I will say that may be tricky technically, because I will have to manage my audio levels very carefully, and also the quality from in-game mics is not going to be as good as, for example, my mic would be, or if I was using Skype or whatever with other teammates, which is a little bit irritating. But it is a lot easier to use because it means we can just get straight into game and so on and so on, so I'll try and experiment a little bit with that. But yeah, the difference between the QBZ and the ACR, and like you guys know, I'm not really like I'm not big on stats. I'm not a big stat person. I often really feel like stats don't matter a huge amount. I mean, they matter at the very... I mean, I'm not an idiot, yeah? Stats matter at the very borders, the edges of combat, okay? When you come up to face someone 1v1, okay, of course, your stats are going to matter. But I find that sort of the majority of encounters that you're in, say 80% of the time, it really doesn't matter, because you're either going to get shot in the side, the back, or you've got the drop on them, or there's other elements involved and other factors involved. So I often find that, okay, you know, if you put two guns or whatever up side by side, technically, yes, one may be better than another in a certain situation, but I find that for the most part, run out of bloody ammo, for the most part, it doesn't really matter, and that's why I say that I really think stats are generally pointless. It's also why I find it very stupid when people, I've had quite recently as well, people going and they say, oh Luetin, I checked your stats and you suck at this, or you've got a shit, blah, blah. Seriously, anybody that's making those kind of statements is, in my opinion, just an idiot. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, no nice way to say it. There are some stats which, to be honest, are completely meaningless. For example, accuracy is one that is completely meaningless, and I have other people that will agree with me on this level, would agree with me. I mean, you know, no denying, alright? Yeah, okay, to a mild extent, accuracy is going to slightly determine and show what kind of player you are. However, if you're the kind of person like me who will often put a lot of suppressing fire towards an enemy, if you will, for example, take a support class, or you'll take like a heavy gun, or you'll, for example, often when I'm in a tank as well, and I know there's enemy straight forward, I'll get on that heavy machine gun and I will just lay suppressing fire towards a position. Because let's think about it this way, right? If there's a guy and he's trying to sort of move around a corner, if there's a trail of machine gun fire laying down onto him, he's really not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to stick his head out. He's going to be, he's not going to have an incentive to move that way. So suppressing fire is one big factor that will really ruin your, your sort of accuracy, because you're just shooting, you're not shooting at anything. So there's a lot of things with stats like that. I mean, when it comes to win-loss, it's like, I have a very good win-loss on my thing, but it tends to be probably because I play rush more than anything else, and it also because when I'm playing I tend to play very, very hard. I really push for the objective, so most of the games I'm in don't pan out as your average Battlefield games where people are kind of back and forth, they don't play, so much and things like that. KD, it depends entirely on your playstyle more than anything else. I mean, yeah, for sure, KD is going to have a matter in your gameplay, and it's always going to be nice to have a kind of reasonable KD and stuff like that. But some people will put themselves in harm's way more than others. I will definitely, because I often feel Like, sometimes, how the hell did that not... Oh god, we are literally all over the place here. What the hell? This is so frustrating for me as well because, by the way, I knew this was like this when I must have exported this, but I exported this video a little while ago, so just putting it up now. But yeah, don't worry, by the way, as I say, because the Elgato is more stable, it allows me to do more, and generally it's a bit easier to use. And I'm also working with Final Cut, which I'll continue to do some videos about. But yes, so when it comes to those kind of things like stats and all this sort of stuff, it's like it really, with your KD as well, I say it really does matter on your gameplay as a player. I often am sometimes in a situation where nobody else is pushing into a dangerous place, and it means that I literally have to throw myself in harm's way, almost sometimes just as an incentive to do so. Now, some people really care about their KD. They will look after it, they'll nurture it, they'll keep it, they'll care for it, and they'll try and make sure that it stays well. Personally, I couldn't give a crap, so I will run in, I will just kamikaze, and I will sort of throw myself into the fire. Sometimes you'll succeed, sometimes you won't, but I always think at the end of the day, that's what you play for. You play to work as a team, you play to go for the win, and that's the way I always go for it. Hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. A little bit of a ramble, but I think I covered a couple of little points there as well. So I have some more stuff coming up very soon. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.